Hey everybody, Falisha Rexford here. Today we're going to be reviewing 4 mistakes that sellers are making in a seller's market. Stay tuned. So let's just jump right into it. Today, I had 2 different selling or listing consultations, one over the phone and one in person. And I realized that there are so many missteps that could be avoided when selling your home. I want to review 4 of the big mistakes that I'm seeing. So let's just jump into it. Number 1, poor planning. Poor planning. Just like anything in life, when you want to buy a car, buy a house, sell a house, go to college, whatever it may be, we need to plan ahead for that. So the sooner that you get in contact with an expert, the better. To utilize the example again from today, my in-person listing consultation I got actually off of Facebook. Just a few days ago, this lady made a post and she said, does anybody know a realtor in Las Vegas? Quick shout out to everybody who posts and says my name on Facebook. I can't be more grateful for you, because by the time I got to that Facebook post, there were about 12 people who had mentioned my name. So she did a soft touch. Does anybody know a realtor? And of course, there's tons and tons and tons of names in there. But today at my consultation, what she came back and told me was, I didn't go with the first name that came across. Once I started reading everybody's comments, your name came up 12 times. It was an easy no-brainer. So just because she did a Facebook post, that started the snowball effect of her planning to sell her house. Once she got in contact with me, now we were able to review things like the calendar. When is an appropriate time to sell? For example, she wants to list fairly soon, but we have a holiday approaching. Listing on a holiday isn't always necessarily the best thing to do because a lot of people travel. So instead of being in town, they're out of town, making memories with their families, just like they should be. So instead of listing on a holiday, we can now vector that away to a weekend that's going to be better for that seller. Other things to consider. For this family specifically, they have a newborn baby, they have a dog, they have a cat. We now need to figure out where everybody's going to go during showings. And so by looking at the calendar and doing all of that pre-planning, now they can contact friends to watch their dog or where their cat's gonna go. And then after that is accomplished, when are we gonna actually take pictures? When are we gonna list? I prefer listing on Wednesday evenings with a coming soon, and then going active on Friday, trying to bottleneck showings to a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And again, in a seller's market, hopefully that's all I need, reviewing all offers on Monday. So again, if we're not looking at the calendar and planning all of these different things, it can really come to a head when we're trying to do things quicker and faster and funnier, when just a little bit of time would have gone a really long way. The second mistake that I don't like seeing my sellers make, it's really hard to say, seeing my sellers make, is over-improving. This is a market that doesn't necessarily demand you make a lot of over-improvements on the home. So many a times when I get those really smart clients that are calling me in advance to pre-plan, see what I did there? They call me they're smart anyways. They call me in advance to pre-plan to sell their house. The reason why they're doing this is they also may be the type where they want to paint the house, or they want to redo floors, or they want to add a backsplash, that kind of thing. And I'm able to kind of tighten up the reins. Whoa, Nellie, we don't really need to do all of that in this market. Let me schedule an in-home consultation where I can see your home in person, and I will give you honest feedback. If the house is a little messy and needs to be painted or cleaned, I'm gonna tell you. But if you don't have to drop hundreds or thousands of dollars into a house, why would you? Save it. Save it for other things. Save it for when the home inspection happens and now you're asking to fix a problem here or there. So the second real big issue that I'm seeing in a seller's market is sellers wanting to over-improve or paint or do all the things that you don't necessarily have to do because you're in the driver's seat. Oh, I'm gonna touch on some nerves with this one. The third mistake that I see sellers making quite often is using a realtor because your mom knows someone that goes to school with, or, oh, I called my aunt. That is not the way you choose a professional to list, advertise, and sell your home. I love examples. I'm gonna use, yet again, a real life example from today. I received a text message from a friend saying that he had a friend who wasn't happy with their agent. So I reached out and I said, what's going on? Well, it is 2021, summer of 2021 in Las Vegas, Nevada, where we have one of the biggest booming sellers markets that we have ever seen. And this woman's home has been on the market for over 45 days in an area of town that is highly sought after. So I have a lot of question marks going around. I don't really know what's happening. I took a look at the property. I went and actually physically looked at the property. I instantly had some feedback for her in terms of price, which it was actually underlisted. A lot of times you would think that the house was listed too high, and that's the reason why it was sitting. I actually think this home is probably listed too low, but it's not showcasing well for a myriad of reasons. When I got this woman on the phone to talk with her today, and I went through all of these different reasons. One, she's exhausted because the house has been sitting for so long. Two, she just wanted to give her friend a chance. Now, I'm all for giving friends and aunts and uncles opportunities and chances, but always make sure that you're looking at it in the context of their education, their experience level, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to give somebody a chance and they don't close a lot of deals within a year, maybe start with a lower end condo or something like that. This woman's home is a $900,000 listing. And nothing has been accomplished the way that I would have liked to attack it and accomplish it for her. I feel bad for her, I do. But in the end, she knows now, lesson learned, that she should have just contacted a professional. One of the feedback items that I got from her was the amount of transactions her friend has closed in relationship to the amount of transactions that I have closed and price points that I have closed. Again, when you want to throw that bone to that friend or family member, do it in a context that makes sense. Her friend has closed about 10 transactions in the year 2021, and that's really great. That's great for most agents, whereas me and my team are broaching 100 closed transactions in the year 2021. So how does this affect you? If you're the seller or potential seller, upcoming seller, do your research on the realtor and the professional that you're going to hire to service you. Make sure that they have sold homes that are potentially in the price point of the home that you're selling. Make sure that they have done a substantial amount of work. Make sure they have good references, that people can recommend them, read the reviews, all of those things. So the professional that you hire is going to be a direct representation of you. When you put it in that context, sometimes it's pretty easy when making that really, really important hire. So now that you've hired the correct professional, it's time to listen to them. I'm going to say that again. Now that you have chosen the correct professional to represent you in listing your home, please listen to them because they are the ones that are living in the market, that eat, sleep, and breathe. That's facts. Eat, sleep, and breathes real estate. So let's start kind of from the top. When I do a listing consultation, I'll typically do a nice tour of the property and we'll try to pick out things that may need to be decluttered or photos that need to be taken down, etc. When you have a professional doing that and you also come up with a photo day, let's make sure that we do our homework. Let's make sure that we actually accomplish the things that the professional asked you to do. Example would be, clean the house. That's never happened to me. I've never said, let's have the house professionally clean and then show up on photo day and it not be done. So frustrating, guys, so frustrating. So listen to the professional when it comes to staging and getting it ready for those amazing photos. Photos are everything in real estate. Now let's just talk about the big elephant in the room, list price. Whenever I come into a listing consultation, that's really what you want me to get to. What's the list price? I don't just pick that out of thin air. That has come to fruition based off of a lot of different homework and data and time and effort and energy and consideration. So when I'm presenting a list price, just hear me out for a second. Hear me out. Many sellers, we always say that a seller's home is always the best home in the neighborhood. And there's so much truth to that because I think that I even do it. So you always want to think that your home is the best home in the neighborhood. So if my neighbor sold their house for $500,000, I should get $550,000. Not if the facts and the data and the comps don't support that. So just hear the agent out, hear the professional out on their list price and the reasonings for that. Be open-minded. In this hot seller's market, I really enjoy listing homes for what they are valued at, and then I allow the buyer, the buyer's agent, and the market to drive price to a different level. But if I don't have the comps and the data to support it, I normally want to list at what a home is truly valued at, than overlisting and sitting on the market for days on end, where that just does not look good. So listen to the professional when talking about listing price. Okay, so we've staged, we've come up with a list price, we've listed the house, and now it's the fun part. We're reviewing offers. Every seller wants to know that they have multiple offers, and I hope that that is the case for you. Here's a couple tricks though. Don't just look at the first page. Don't just look at the first page and the big number at the first page. Your professional should be able to really dive into each individual offer and present the pros and cons, the strengths and weaknesses of both. Sometimes the offer with the biggest number at the top isn't necessarily your strongest buyer. And I know that this could be a whole YouTube video all on itself, but let's just use a basic example. Let's say that two buyers come to the table and one buyer puts a $500,000 offer on the table and one buyer puts a $510,000 offer on the table. And that's the only information that I give you. It'd be pretty easy to say, well, I want the $510,000 offer. Let's kind of like break this down a little bit though. Let's say that the $500,000 offer is a conventional buyer putting down $120,000, willing to pay $10,000 above appraised value should the house not appraise at $500,000. It's a pretty strong offer. They're telling you, they're guaranteeing you $10,000 over whatever that house actually appraises for, okay? Not to exceed the $500,000. The $510,000 offer is putting minimum amount down. They did send in a pre-qual letter, not even a pre-approval. And when I ask for proof of funds, they push back. And I don't think that the house is going to appraise for $510,000. So if the house doesn't appraise for $510,000, is this buyer going to really be able to pay the $510,000? I don't know. But I have this one over here guaranteeing me $10,000 extra on top of appraised value, not to exceed the $500,000 purchase price. I hope these make sense. Sometimes the number on the first page isn't necessarily the only number that you need to look at. The professional really needs to dive in and talk about all of those pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses in each individual buyer to paint a picture where you can make the best decision for yourself. Another area to consider when listening to your professional is that very sensitive time when a buyer has their home inspection accomplished and now they submit what's called a request for repairs. So it's a buyer's right to get a home inspection, and then it's very common to get a list of things that they want to ask the seller to pay for. Real estate can be very, very emotional. A seller's emotional, a buyer's emotional. The professional is there to be the middleman, to be that calm, unnerving, focused voice for sometimes even both parties. In this case, when somebody asks you to fix a leaky faucet, maybe patch a few holes, you may not think it's that big of a deal from a realtor professional standpoint, but from the seller standpoint, that may be just enough to ruffle some feathers. Listen to the professional. Learn to be aggressive and learn when to listen on when it's appropriate to even be a little bit lenient. So in today's video, we were reviewing the 4 common mistakes that I'm currently seeing sellers make in a seller's market. And those all kind of revolved around one thing, or person, I should say, and that's really getting the right professional to represent you. The right professional is going to either sell your house or not sell your house. They're going to help you get top dollar or not get top dollar. I hope you truly enjoyed everything that we reviewed today. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and drop those below. I personally will be responding to them. Thank you so much for liking. Be sure to subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And until next time, see ya.